Okay, so welcome to Eco 501, Section 2, Week 5. Today is Tuesday, the 1st of March, 2022. Acha. Today, basically what we'll do, we'll divide the class into three parts. Number one, we'll revisit the concept of slope. Number two, we will look at the basic philosophy behind the concept of elasticity of demand. And then we'll try to look at elasticity of demand the way the textbooks talk. Then we'll try to look at the elasticity of demand the way it can be implemented in a real world situation. Finally, we'll look at the assessments that we're going to do before the midterm, and then what we're going to do about the midterm we'll discuss just at the end. Okay, so let's start with the okay, can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically what we're going to do, topic 1, we'll revisit the concept of slope. Topic 2, we'll look at elasticity of demand and price elasticity of demand, elasticity in graphs. Although, is there anybody here who didn't do any economics course in the undergrad? I think there's 2 people in this class, right? Section 2. So
I am here, sir.
okay, good. So the thing is, the undergrad books, whether you came from business school or economics major, they talk about 2 types of elasticity of demand. One is price elasticity, one is income elasticity. But since we're doing an MBA program, we are more interested in the practical matters of what elasticity of demand is. That we will look at in topic number 5. And then finally, we'll look at the next tasks we will do. So let's start with topic 1. Revisiting slopes. So আমরা একটা জিনিস বারবার বলছি, slope is nothing but a ratio of change, and universally slope is always defined as change in dependent variable due to change in independent variable. This is the general form of slope. What does that mean? I'm looking at a change, say quantity demanded, due to a reference variable. If the reference variable is price, then I'm looking at the slope against price. If I want to see how demand responds with respect in reference to income, then I'm looking at it as income, time, and other factors. So basically, we look at price elasticity and income. So today we'll change it. আচ্ছা, তারপর আমরা আরেকটা জিনিস বলছিলাম, in the mathematics convention, the reference axis is the x-axis. So change in dependent by change in independent becomes del y by del x. The economics convention, we put price on the vertical axis. The principle is the same, change in dependent by change in independent, but now that becomes del x by del y. Why is this happening? Because our reference axis is now the y-axis, which is the price axis. Acha, visually, what does this imply? In the mathematics convention, if we find del y by del x is equal to 0, then in the economics convention, we will find the opposite. Del x by del y becomes infinity. Right?
Yes, sir.
In the mathematics convention, we are saying del y by del x, this is equal to 0. Since in the economics convention, y is the independent variable, the slope then becomes del x by del y. It's becoming inverted. So a 0 slope in mathematics convention will become infinite slope in economics, and infinite slope in mathematics convention will become 0 in economics. That's it. বাকিগুলো মোটামুটি ঠিকই থাকবে। আচ্ছা, এই জিনিসটা তো আমাদের দেখার দরকার নাই, দেখার দরকার আছে। This is positive slope. We are all familiar why, right? X
Yes,
and
sir.
y are both increasing and decreasing in the same direction. So x is the reference variable. If x increases, y also increases. If x is decreasing, y is also decreasing. That's why we say it's a positive slope. In panel 2, x and y are changing in opposite directions. That's why we call it negative slope. Acha, this is 90 degree. Why?
Sir, because of reference axis?
Yes, because the reference axis is now x, and it is creating a 90 degree angle with the reference axis. That's why in the mathematics convention, the slope becomes infinite or undefined. Over here, it's creating a 0 degree with the reference axis x. So the slope is 0. Now in the economics convention, এই দুটো ঠিকই আছে. Whatever conclusions we drew with mathematics convention, the positive and the negative slope will give the same results. But in this case, this is 0. Why? This is creating a 0 degree with the reference axis y. So that's why the slope, if we say this is an economics convention, it becomes 0. This one becomes undefined because it's creating a 90 degree with the reference axis, which is y. আচ্ছা, এখন দেখা যাক. One of you who did not do economics in your undergrad, apart from you, বাকিদের বলছি, when you did an undergrad course in economics, did somebody tell you that this is infinite elastically demand?
Maybe told, but we are not remember. We cannot remember.
You forgot, right? Okay. Acha, did somebody tell you that this is perfectly inelastic? It has an inelastic demand curve, perfectly inelastic. Does anybody remember?
No, sir.
Acha, if we are mathematically wired, we will automatically see this line, the one on the left, as a 90 degree. But in economics convention, we are saying it's inelastic. That means the slope will be 0. Why? Because price is now on the vertical axis. That's it. This is an infinitely elastic demand. But if we are mathematically wired, we will be looking at this second one in reference to the quantity axis. But now the quantity axis is not the dependent variable. The independent variable is the price axis. Acha, এখন.
Sir, actually, I'm not clear about the reference axis.
Acha, you're not
I'm a
clear.
little bit confused.
No problem. Who asked this question?
Sir, Tasnia.
Tasmia. Okay, lovely. Acha, আমি এটা এইভাবে বলি. When we measure speed, if somebody says that the speed of something is 100 miles, it makes no meaning. Is it 100 miles per hour? Then we will automatically think that it's a car. If the speed is 100 miles per second, we will automatically wire that it could be a rocket, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Reference axis is the axis, or reference variable is the variable that we compare something against. So we are comparing time, speed in reference to time. সেজন্য speed per hour or speed per second বলছি না আমরা?
Yes, sir.
So the reference axis, since we are comparing it against the reference axis, that always comes in the denominator. আমরা যখন বলছি del y by del x, that means we are basically looking at the change of y in reference to x. Ever clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
why it is making 90 degree, that was actually not clear for
okay,
me.
good. Now এখন আমরা visually যাই. If it's not clear, it will probably be clear now.
Yes, sir.
Acha, you tell me, is this 90 degree?
Yes, sir.
Acha, why is it 90 degree? Because the reference axis is x. It is creating a 90 degree with the reference axis, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
আর এটা কেন 0? Because it is creating a 0 degree with the reference axis. Isn't it parallel to the x axis? Is this parallel to the x axis?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if it is parallel to the x axis and the x axis is our reference axis, then it's 0 degree. if it is 90 degree to the reference axis, where reference axis is x, it
Yes.
becomes infinity. আচ্ছা, এখন যদি আমরা reference axis টা বদলাই দেই, if we make y the reference axis, তাহলে এইটা এখন 90 ডিগ্রি করছে না in reference to y?
Yes, sir.
এবার ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে?
Yes, sir.
and এইটা এখন 0 ডিগ্রি করছে in reference to the y axis.
Sir, এটা actually dependent and independent variable এর উপর depend করছে এমন কিছু?
Correct, but the thing is, which of the two axes is independent? In mathematics, by convention, x is always the independent axis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ঠিক আছে, that's why since we are wired from high school to see x axis as the independent axis, হঠাৎ করে এটা যদি কেউ বলে এরকম একটা গ্রাফ বলে যে এটা স্লোপ হচ্ছে 90 ডিগ্রি, তখন আমাদের মাথায় খটকা লাগবে না?
Yes.
ডানডি হয় কিভাবে? অথবা কেউ যদি তোমাকে বলে যে দিস ইজ 0 ডিগ্রি, তখন এর মাথায় খটকা লাগবে না?
Yes, sir.
এই যে this is why I'm stressing on this, because এই জিনিসটা the textbooks don't explain it. So now we're looking at elasticity of demand. Acha, I don't want to get into too much technicality. Mathematics is not what we want to learn here. What we want to learn is the philosophy behind the concept of elasticity. আচ্ছা, আমরা যদি আমাদের একটা চুল নেই, চুল নিয়ে যদি টান মারি, এটা একটু লম্বা হবে না?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, আমরা যদি একটা লোহার রড নিয়ে যদি টান মারি, এটা কি এক্সপ্যান্ড করবে?
No, sir.
Okay, this is one good way of understanding elasticity of demand. How responsive is demand to a change? I'm going to say this thing 2 more times. How responsive is demand to a change? So if the change is due to price, how is demand responding? It becomes price elasticity of demand. If the change is due to a change in income, how responsive is demand? It becomes income elasticity of demand. ঠিক আছে? These are the two main elasticities of demand that all the textbooks talk about. But you tell me, let me give you an example. You have 2 grocery shops in your neighborhood. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. ঠিক আছে? Even if they charge more, can you go to another place for 2 o'clock in the morning to get say
No, sir.
সকালবেলা পাউরুটিটা দরকার, সকালে নাস্তা করতে হবে, you need bread, you need some eggs. এখন নিচের তলার মুদির দোকানটা রাত 2টা পর্যন্ত খোলা থাকে. So can you go elsewhere?
No, sir.
So the location of your house is a factor that influences your response to demand.
Yes,
তাই না?
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
যেটা হচ্ছে যে আমরা প্র্যাকটিক্যালি যে আমাদের মূল উদ্দেশ্য হচ্ছে এই কনসেপ্টটা আমরা প্র্যাকটিক্যালি দেখার চেষ্টা করছি. The textbook just shows how responsive demand is due to price change, how responsive demand is due to income change. But price and income are not the only 2 variables that influence the response in demand. আচ্ছা, এখন let's think about another thing. Suppose you're in Pizza Hut. ঠিক আছে? You ask for a drink. They come and give you Pepsi. If you want, can you get Coca-Cola in Pizza Hut?
No, sir.
Or Domino's Pizza? এগুলিতে Coca-Cola পাওয়া যায়?
No, sir.
আচ্ছা, why? Because they have a contract with Transcom, and Transcom means PepsiCo. তাইলে isn't your demand for the drink being highly influenced by your location at Pizza Hut or Domino's Pizza?
Yes, sir.
তাহলে এটার সাথে কি প্রাইসের কোনো সম্পর্ক আছে, ইনকামের কোনো সম্পর্ক আছে?
No, sir.
Okay, let me give you another example. And again, you go to Pizza Hut during one of their promotions. They say that you can drink as much drink as you like, but you have to finish your meal within 1 hour. So এখানে what is your demand responding to? Your demand is responding to time.
Time.
এখন টাইমটা যদি আমরা একটু লম্বা করে দেই, then your consumption rate will become more flexible.
Yes,
টাইম
sir.
যদি আমরা ছোট করে দেই, your consumption rate will become less flexible, right?
Yes, sir.
তাইলে depending on time, this is influencing how our demand will be responding. এবার ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে?
Yes, sir.
This is basically in an MBA program, we are more interested in these things rather than the seeing all these technicalities and everything. Acha, if we have all agreed that demand responds to something, then what is the implication from a business point of view? If people's demand is responding favorably, they will demand more of that good after the change.
Yes, sir.
People are demanding more of the good after the change, they will want to buy more. If they want to buy more, that positively influences the revenue of the firm.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
তাই না? But del Q আমরা বলছি your response of demand. যখন del Q টা যদি পজিটিভ হয়, people demand more, that means they are willing to purchase more, that means that contributes to the revenue of the,
Does it mean demand is more elastic?
sorry,
Does this mean demand is more elastic?
আচ্ছা এটা আমি পরে আসতেছি।
Okay.
হ্যাঁ yes, ultimately হবে, but how it does, but এই কনসেপ্টটা বোঝা গেছে তো?
স্যার এটা আমি মানে অ্যাকচুয়ালি লিংক করতে চাচ্ছি যে ঠিক আছে কিনা। ওকে স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, your answer is correct.
ওকে
But
স্যার।
এটা কিভাবে হয় আমি পরে আমি বলবো, but the main crux, there are two things that we are interested in. Demand responds not to price and income. Demand responds to many factors in different contexts and different situations. If demand is responding positively, demand is increasing. The demand increase টা কে করবে? The buyers. They want to buy more. If the buyers want to buy more, that means it positively contributes to the revenue of the firm. And del Q
Yes, sir.
people are willing to buy less. ঠিক আছে? So if people are willing
Yes,
to buy less, then that also influences the revenue of the firm.
yes, sir. Adversely affecting income,
হ্যাঁ,
revenue of the company.
এটাই হচ্ছে the crux of elasticity of demand. Now, how we present it, how with a graph, with equations, with whatever, that doesn't matter. But এই জিনিসটা তো মোটামুটি বোঝা গেছে তো এখন? Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes,
Then
sir.
বাকিটা হচ্ছে পুরো common sense. You can even tell it to a fourth grader. Okay. So what is the fuss regarding elasticity of demand? Elasticity measures how demand responds to a change in price or a factor other than price, non-price factor. তাহলে আমরা যে del Q, over here we're writing del Q of D, then a change in quantity demanded. This tells us how much more or less buyers are willing to buy after the change, whether that change was due to price or any other factor. If del Q over here, if we find that the demand is responding positively, then households are willing to buy more. So if households are willing to buy more, that contributes
Yes,
to
sir.
more revenue. It's pura common sense. And if households are willing to buy less, that is also contributing to revenue in an opposite way. That's it. ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, যে our friend who has not done any economics course, are you following?
Yes,
মানে
sir.
আমি যা বলছি কোনো বুঝতে অসুবিধা হচ্ছে না তো?
No, sir.
Okay, good. If you don't understand, stop me. হ্যাঁ, somebody says something. কে বললো? আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, then I'll carry on. Nobody wants to say something. Okie dokie. Acha, why elasticity of demand? Acha, before we get into the technicality, the demand for different products respond differently. For
Yes,
the
sir.
moment, we will look at price. Later on, we will change the variable. Acha, if we look at the insulin market in Dhaka city, We are not looking at insulin of one pharmaceutical company or another. For some reason, the cost of insulin has increased. সবার জন্য. Maybe the government has imposed a tax, or it could be the cost of import has increased, or it could be because of the Russian-Ukraine war. একটা particular supply chain নষ্ট হয়ে গেছে. So তাদের cost of মানে it has become more dear. So if the price of insulin generally increases by 10% in Dhaka city, how will the demand respond? Will people stop? Start consuming less?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Acha, so what does this tell us about the revenue of the farm? People who sell insulin, the pharmaceuticals, they know very well the demand for insulin depends on the patient's health condition. It has nothing to do with the price. It has nothing to do with the person's income. It has nothing to do with the person's socio-economic background. Right now?
Yes, sir.
Demand for the insulin, it depends on the patient's health condition. So for whatever reason, if for any reason due to government policy or supply chain policy, if the average price টা যদি বেড়ে যায়, people yesterday the amount of insulin injections they used to buy, they will still buy now. So what information does that sell? If demand does not respond to a price change, increase the price, revenue বাড়বে. Decrease the price, revenue কমবে. তাই না?
Yes, sir.
এই ব্যাপারে আমরা সবাই একমত?
Yes, sir.
ওকে, আমরা পরে ইলাস্টিক
Sir.
ভ্যালুটা কত সরি হ্যাঁ somebody said something.
Sir, if the prices increase and it doesn't change the demand, so if the price decrease, it might increase the demand as well, right?
No. It might increase the demand, but the thing is people might start stocking if they think that the price will be increasing in the future, তাই তো?
Right, sir.
মানে normally just let's take an example. In the next budget the government declares that there's lots of diabetic patients in Dhaka city, so আমরা import duty-টা কিছু কমিয়ে দিলাম, ঠিক আছে, মানুষকে একটু কষ্ট মানে যাতে কষ্ট কম পায়.
Right.
So because of that people know that this মানুষ কি হোট করা শুরু করবে.
No.
But before Ramzan people will do because the demand is responding to something else.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Because-
Some other variable.
Some other variable, whatever. Some other variable is influencing your demand decision. Is it
Yes,
clear
sir.
now?
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So the general rule is if our demand is not responding to price, if we increase the price or the price goes up for whatever reason, then people are not going to reduce their demand. That means the farms will earn more. If the price goes down, people are not going to buy that much more. So the revenue is going to go down. So when demand does not respond to price, we call it price inelastic. When demand does not respond to income, we call it income inelastic. ঠিক আছে? So the technical term that the books use, elastic or inelastic, means that when we say inelastic, demand is not responding to the change. সেই চেঞ্জটা প্রাইস হোক আর ইনকামে হোক, আমরা অন্যান্য চেঞ্জগুলো পরে আবার বলবো, but initially we assume that price and ইনকামের কারণে demand is not responding, so it's inelastic. এবার ক্লিয়ার?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, এখন let's think about the other extreme scenario that demand is responding to the price change. তার মানে আমরা আমাদের চুলটা দিয়ে যদি একটু টান মারি, চুলটা একটু লম্বা হবে.
Yes, sir.
ইনইলাস্টিক কি হবে? লোহাকে টান দিচ্ছি, লোহা বড় হচ্ছে না, ছোট হচ্ছে না, is not responding. So if it is elastic, if demand is responding to the change, তাহলে কি ঘটনাটা কি দাঁড়াচ্ছে? If the price falls by 5%, the demand will increase by more than 5% না?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, if the demand increases by more than 5%, people are willing to buy more than the price decrease.
Yes,
এই যে
sir.
প্রাইস নেমেছে 5%, ডিমান্ড বেড়ে গেছে 7% আরো উপরে, তাহলে রেভিনিউ ইজ ইকুয়াল টু প্রাইস টাইমস কিউ যদি হয়, দেন নিউ রেভিনিউ আগের চেয়ে লার্জ হবে না?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, let's give you an example. This is BRAC University. Arung is a sister concern of BRAC. What does Arung do? Arung doesn't tell you that the price is going up. Arung, before some festival, declares a price reduction, right? 10%
sir.
off, this and that.
Discount.
Why?
Yes, sir.
Because they know that their products respond to price changes. So if their products are responsive to price change, a 5% decrease is probably going to lead to a more than 5% increase in demand.
More than 5% increase in demand. Yes, sir.
ঠিক আছে? So what happens when demand is responding to the change? Decrease in price leads to increased income, revenue. Increase in price leads to decreased revenue. You clear? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now এখন আমরা technicality. Acha, does anybody have any questions? Then I'll move to the graphs and the equations where it will be more clear.
Sir, I have one question.
Please.
Sir, you have told that at Arung, products respond to a change, I guess.
The
I mean,
change in
Arung
price.
product.
Okay, huh?
Okay, so but yes, sir, is it the product responds to a change or the customers respond to a change?
Customers respond to the change means customer wants to buy more or less after the change, right?
Yes, sir.
So
So
customer
if they,
buyer.
yes, sir.
So
So
it's
if
a
they
customer-
reduce the price, if they reduce the price, so customers tends to buy more. So that increases their revenue.
Correct.
I mean, yeah. So is it like the products is responding to a change or the customers responding to a change?
Customers demand is responding to the change.
Okay, sir. Yes. Okay, sir.
এবার ক্লিয়ার? এখন now মানে এখন আমরা টেকনিক্যালিটির মধ্যে ঢুকলে now it will be more clear hopefully.
Okay, sir.
আচ্ছা, এই যে if the price of insulin increases by 5%, you will probably expect that demand does not change. তাই না? If the general
Yes,
price of insulin increases by 5%, we gave the two scenarios: government imposes a tax, or for some reason supply chain problem বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে, so insulin injections have gone up. So this does not decrease. ঠিক আছে? If price increases by 5% and demand remains unchanged, what effect does this have on the revenue of the farm? We have already discussed this. Revenue of the farm increases. Why? Because demand does not change.
Demand not change.
People buy the same quantity or similar quantity before and after the price change. ঠিক আছে? তাইলে when demand is not responding, we call it inelastic demand. If it is not responding to price, we call it price inelastic. If it is not responding to change in income, we call it income elastic, inelastic. ঠিক আছে? So inelastic means less responsive to change in price. Inelastic means less responsive to change in non-price factor. The non-price factor at the moment আমরা just বলছি income. আচ্ছা, when
স্যার
consumers
আজকের একটা ঘটনা ধরে নেওয়া যায় যে আজকে থেকে একটা ঘোষণা আসলো যে বাংলাদেশের সব সিএনজি স্টেশন 5 ঘন্টা বন্ধ রাখবে। এখন এটার কনজিউমার ডিমান্ডটা এটা এক্সপ্লেইন করেন স্যার, কেমন হতে পারে, এটা কেমন এফেক্ট করবে?
you tell me, common sense থেকে। আচ্ছা, এই
স্যার
5
আমার
ঘন্টা for how long will this be valid? 7 days, 10
এখন
days?
এটা এখনো টাইমটা লিমিটটা বলা হয়নি, কিন্তু জাস্ট বলা হয়েছে এখন থেকে বন্ধ থাকবে 5 ঘন্টা।
এটা কি
কারণ
already
কেন এই ধরনের এখন এই 2-3 ঘন্টা আগে সংবাদ এটা।
তাই?
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
আচ্ছা, এখন
সিএনজি স্টেশন 5 ঘন্টা বন্ধ।
okay, then this is an interesting puzzle. The thing is, CNG বন্ধ থাকলে it has nothing to do with me. I drive my car on octane. So I'm not in
Yes,
this
sir.
group, right? তো
Yes,
সিএনজি
sir.
বন্ধ থাকলে কাদের প্রবলেম হবে? প্রবলেমটা হবে সিএনজি ওয়ালাদের, যারা
Yes, sir.
ওভাই
Drivers.
কাস্টমার্স তাদের
Yes.
হবে, তাই তো? আরেকটা
Yes,
হবে
sir.
people who cannot switch to an alternative just very quickly. If you are
Yes,
always
sir.
traveling by সিএনজি, ঠিক আছে, বা বেবি ট্যাক্সি আগে যে বলতো, সো if it মানে আজকে থেকে যদি চেঞ্জটা বলে, you don't have time to respond because you don't switching takes a little bit of time, right?
Yes, sir.
যদি বলতো যে না, this change will happen 2 months later, then you can change your habit pattern. You can start exploring what the bus routes are, ঠিক আছে? You can
Yes,
start
sir.
exploring what the rickshaw routes are. If you want to be a little bit health conscious, you can start exploring the cycle routes.
Yes, sir. But suddenly দেওয়া এটা একটু এফেক্ট করবে।
So suddenly this is exactly what we are going to talk about
Time reference.
at time. So if we have time,
Yes.
we become more flexible, our demand becomes more responsive.
Yes,
If
sir.
we don't have time to
Yes.
switch or to change, ঠিক আছে, তাহলে আমরা কনস্ট্রেন্ট হয়ে যাই না? We aren't we less flexible?
Yes, sir. Inelastic fit. Yes.
এবার ক্লিয়ার?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Okay, so
এখন
but
clear.
if this is going to affect you, when I pray for you.
Yes, sir. Definitely affect me.
Okay, তাহলে this is just the opposite. Demand is responding to price change. If a high-end mobile decreases by 5%, common sense tells us it will become very attractive to people, and people's demand will go up by more than 5%, তাই না?
Yes, sir.
This is common sense. But the end message that we want to take from this observation is that if it goes up by more than 5%, what does that mean? People are wanting to buy more. মানুষ যখনই বেশি কিনতে চাবে, that will contribute to the revenue of the farm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. আচ্ছা, why consumer response to price change? এটা তো common sense, এটা এতক্ষণ আমরা অনেকবার বলছি। If after price decrease, consumers tend to buy more, then the percentage of the price decrease, revenue of the farms increase. Think why? It's common sense. আচ্ছা, এটা কি? আচ্ছা, this is a little bit of technicality. আচ্ছা, technicality যেটা আমরা বলবো, let me do it in the whiteboard. Acha, how did we define a slope? We said that the slope is basically change in dependent variable due to change in independent variable, right?
Yes, sir.
And then if price is the independent variable or the reference variable, আমরা ইচ্ছে হলে এখানে income দিতে পারি, that doesn't matter. So this is what the slope becomes, right?
Yes, sir.
Elasticity is defined like this. Next week I'm going to make it much more clear what this means practically. Percentage change in quantity demanded due to percentage change in price. Acha, what does this mean? Percentage change কি এটা না?
Divided by Q.
Acha, you know it beforehand. Monisha, তুমি আছো ভাই?
Yes, sir.
Acha, if I say this is percentage change, will you disagree with me? If you're not following, don't worry, আমি আবার বলবো। Percentage change, এখন আমি ভালো করে লিখি। এই 100টা আমাদের দরকার নাই, we are more interested in this. Why is this percentage change? If yesterday my salary was 100 taka, today it is 110. তখন আমরা যখন percentage চেঞ্জটা করি, don't we measure the change in reference to the original variable before the
Yes,
change?
sir. 100, yes.
So
Yes, sir.
আমরা কি করি? A change in demand, that means 110 minus 100 in
Divided by
reference to
100.
the original income that I started off with,
Original,
100.
yes, sir.
এটা হচ্ছে পার্সেন্টেজ চেঞ্জ। আর 100টা একটা কোনো ব্যাপার, আমরা 50 দিয়ে গুণ করতে পারি, 10 দিয়ে গুণ করতে পারি, বাট when we are looking at a relative change, তখন কিন্তু del q by q হচ্ছে, ঠিক আছে? we're looking at the change in quantity in reference to the original quantity that we started off with. Similarly, we are looking at the what do you call it, the change in price in reference to the original price that we started off with. ঠিক আছে? So now let's
Yes, sir.
go back. তাহলে similarly the change percentage change in price will be is that clear? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
তাহলে আমাদের elasticity of demand কি দাঁড়াচ্ছে? I am not going to explain this today. This is a very important implication which I am going to explain next week. That's the only thing I'm going to discuss next week. এই যে তাহলে এই জিনিসটা আসবে না?
Yes, sir. Reverse engineering. Yes.
ওকে, তাহলে এখন আমরা স্টপ করে দিই এখন। এটা আমি আবার দেখাবো দরকার হলে। আচ্ছা,
একটু শো করলে ভালো হতো।
ও সরি। আচ্ছা, you take a screenshot if necessary. এই যে this is the slope. Okay, এটা slope না? Del q by del p, change in dependent variable due to change in independent variable, which is price. And this is the price quantity ratio. ঠিক আছে? This I will explain next week in detail and what practical implication that has in business decisions. And I will give you lots of examples. ঠিক আছে? Okay. তাহলে আমাদের মেইন জিনিসটা হচ্ছে elasticity of demand we have defined like this. If the upper one is greater than the lower one, then the ratio is greater than 1, right?
Yes, sir.
মানে ratio has only 3 values. Off করে দিই। A ratio generally has only 3 values. It cannot have more than 3 values. If the numerator is greater than the denominator, it must be greater than 1. If the numerator and the denominator are equal to each other, it must be equal to 1. If the numerator is less than the denominator, it will be less than 1. Logically, ratio আর কোনো মান সম্ভব না। তাই না? Do we all agree on this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
এখন the next question is, if something is greater than 1, how large can it become? If something is less than 1, how small can it become? তাই না? আমরা যখন বলছি the ratio is equal to 1, তাহলে we have a definite answer that the numerator and the denominator are the same. But if we find that the ratio is greater than 1, that means numerator, the change in numerator, that means demand is responding more than the change in the price is
Yes,
greater
sir.
than 1. তখন আমাদের প্রশ্ন হবে, if it is greater than 1, how great is it? এটার উপর কি কি ইমপ্লিকেশন হবে? Similarly, conversely, if it is less than 1, কত নিচ পর্যন্ত আসতে পারে? So if something is greater than 1, it can, the maximum amount is infinity, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
আচ্ছা,
sir.
if something
Yes,
if something is less than 1, the minimum value is 0. এখন কেউ যদি বলে কেন 0 চেয়ে তো -1 আরো ছোট, কিন্তু -1 তো অ্যাবসলিউট টার্মে তো 0 চেয়ে বড়,
yes, sir.
তাই না? তো কেউ যদি
Sir,
বলে যে
economics doesn't support minus value, right,
-2 is
sir?
smaller than 0, but the thing is in absolute terms -2 কি 0 চেয়ে বড় না?
Yes, sir.
So nothing can be smaller than 0, nothing can be greater than infinity. তাইলে যখন আমরা বলতেছি demand is elastic, the ratio is greater than 1, maximum can be infinity. যখন আমরা বলছি demand is inelastic, the lowest that it can be is less than 1, that means the minimum value it can take is 0. এই জিনিসটার ইমপ্লিকেশন আমরা নেক্সট উইকে আমি শুধু এটাই করব। এই জিনিসটা বুঝতে পারলে এই কোর্সে অনেক কিছু শেখা হয়ে যাবে। আচ্ছা, এখন দেখা যাক elasticity of demand is greater than 1. Let's Monisha, pay attention. এই যে এই রেশিওটা তাহলে greater than 1, right? If elasticity of demand is greater than 1, এই রেশিওটা বড় হবে না? এই রেশিওটা greater than 1 হবে না? আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, let's get back to the previous one. We have defined elasticity of demand as this. So if elasticity of demand is greater than 1, তাহলে change in the demand response greater than the change in the price হবে না?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we'll get back to here. তাইলে এইটা উপরেরটা অবশ্যই নিচের চেয়ে বড় হবে, ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, যদি আমরা বলি demand is inelastic to price, what does that mean? তার মানে উপরেরটা নিচের চেয়ে ছোট না?
Yes, sir, the price is higher.
হ্যাঁ, the change in the price is higher, price is not higher. এখানে কিন্তু চেঞ্জ দেখাচ্ছে একটা, তাই না? del p.
Yes, sir, the change in price is higher.
Yeah, so that's what we want to hit on, not the price. So the response in demand is less than the change in percentage change in the price. তার মানে it is inelastic to demand, it is not responding to demand.
Yes.
আচ্ছা, তাইলে when demand is price elastic, আমরা যদি প্রাইস কমাই 1%, demand will increase by more than 1%. That contributes to revenue. If we reduce the price by 5%, demand কমে যাবে 7%, তাহলে টোটাল রেভিনিউ কমে যাবে না?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ওকে, এখন ইনইলাস্টিকটা আমরা দেখি। How can we rationalize the inelastic part? Demand has increased by 5%. Quantity demanded has fallen by less than 5%, say 3%. ঠিক আছে? তাতে কি রেভিনিউ বেড়ে যাবে না? প্রাইস বেড়ে গেছে 5%, কোয়ান্টিটি ডিমান্ড যদি 5% এর চেয়ে বেশি কমে আপ টু 7%, তাহলে তো টোটাল রেভিনিউ কমে যাবে না?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, যদি কোয়ান্টিটি ডিমান্ডেড পড়ে যায় বাই 4%, তাতে রেভিনিউ বাড়বে।
Sir,
Price has
quantity demand কমে গেলে কিভাবে রেভিনিউ বাড়বে?
আবার আমরা জিনিসটা আমরা ভিজুয়ালাইজ করি, হ্যাঁ, জিনিসটা ভিজুয়ালাইজ করার চেষ্টা করি বিফোর গেটিং ইনটু দিস টেকনিক্যাল ম্যাটার্স।
Yes, sir.
Demand has increased by 5%. We know that this demand is not responding to price. ঠিক আছে? Unlike insulin, it's not যে demand একেবারে চেঞ্জ হবে না, কিছু ডিমান্ড চেঞ্জ হলো, ঠিক আছে? There are substitutes, people get time to switch to substitutes. কিছু কিছু লোক তার ডিমান্ডটা কমায় ফেলবে। প্রাইস বাড়লো 5%, ডিমান্ড কমলো 2%, তাতে কি টোটাল রেভিনিউ বেড়ে যাবে না?
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
গুড,
Demand hasn't increased much.
ইয়েস, এই বাস, তাহলে আর দরকার নাই, নাও ইটস টোটালি ক্লিয়ার। আচ্ছা, এখন উল্টাটা চিন্তা করি আমরা, প্রাইস কমলো 5%, ডিমান্ড বাড়ছে অনলি 2%, রেভিনিউ আগের চেয়ে কমে যাবে না?
কমে যাবে।
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
বাস তাহলে আর দরকার। ও ইয়ে দিচ্ছে না?